Drop the charges or you'll regret it. My violent brother threatened me after I reported him for choking his girlfriend. Parents sided with him, kicked me out, and blamed me when he went to jail. What happened next destroyed our family completely. Hey, Reddit. My family always acted like my brother could do no wrong while I was just there. Then things blew up big time, and I ended up calling the cops on him. That was only the start. Before I get into all the chaos, let me take you back to where it began. I always knew my brother Ryan was my parents' favorite, but that Tuesday made it crystal clear just how far they'd go for him. Ryan's 21, I'm 18. He's the golden boy, the baseball star with the partial scholarship to State University. My parents act like he's the second coming or something. One time last year, Ryan backed my dad's truck into a mailbox because he was texting while driving. My dad laughed and said, "Boys will be boys." A month later, I accidentally dropped my mom's favorite serving bowl when I was unloading the dishwasher. She told me I was careless and grounded me for a week. I had a part-time job at Greenway Grocery after school. It's nothing special, but it helps me save for community college since my parents already told me flat out they're only paying for Ryan's education. You can figure something out, my mom said, like it was no big deal. That Tuesday, I left work early because of a headache. Around 4 p.m., I pulled into our driveway, thinking maybe I could catch up on sleep before homework. Our house looked normal from the outside. Inside, though, things were about to go completely off the rails. I stepped inside and immediately heard yelling upstairs. It was Ryan's voice, sharp and angry. Then another sound, crying. I froze for a second. It was Lila, his girlfriend. She'd been around for almost 2 years. She's 19, real quiet, barely talks during family dinners. Always looks nervous, flinches when Ryan moves too fast. My parents say she's shy, but I've seen the way Ryan grabs her arm sometimes when no one's looking. Something always felt off. The yelling got louder. I went up the stairs slowly. Ryan's bedroom door was partly open. What I saw made my stomach drop. Ryan had Lila shoved up against the wall, his hand around her throat. Her feet were barely touching the ground. She was trying to talk, but it came out like choking gasps. Her face was turning red. Ryan was hissing something about her embarrassing him at some party the night before. I didn't even think. I pulled my phone out and started recording. Ryan didn't notice me at first. He was too busy losing his mind. I filmed for maybe 30 seconds, my hands shaking. Then he looked up and saw me through the crack in the door. He dropped Lila instantly. She crumpled to the floor, coughing. Ryan's face changed fast, like he realized he messed up but thought he could fix it if he got to me first. He moved toward the door, fast. I didn't wait. I bolted downstairs, straight into the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911. The cops showed up in about 15 minutes. It felt longer. Ryan tried to act calm when they got there, like nothing happened, but Lila still had marks on her neck. I showed the officers the video. That ended his little performance real quick. They arrested him right there in the living room, cuffed him while my parents were still at work. Lila went with the paramedics to get checked out. The first thing my mom said wasn't, "Is Lila okay?" or "What happened?" It was, "What did you do, Ethan?" Like I was the problem. I told her Ryan got arrested for choking his girlfriend. I showed her the red marks on Lila's neck before she left. My mom shook her head like she didn't believe me. My dad started grilling the cops, saying Ryan would never hurt anyone, that Lila must be dramatic, that I was exaggerating because I hate Ryan. One of the officers explained they had video evidence. My mom snapped at him. "Kids record everything these days." It doesn't mean it's the truth. After the cops left with Ryan, my parents lit into me. Mom stood in the doorway of my room, arms crossed, eyes cold. "You've ruined your brother's future. One mistake and you call the cops instead of coming to us? What kind of son does that?" I said it wasn't a mistake. It was assault. She shot back, "Oh, please." Lila probably made it sound worse than it was. Girls like her love drama. My dad didn't even look at me. He just said, "Pack your stuff." I thought he was kidding. He wasn't. "Front porch. Now. You're not staying under this roof after what you pulled," he said. They dragged out trash bags and started throwing my things in them. Clothes, shoes, even my school backpack. My mom tossed them on the porch like I was some stranger they didn't want around. "You want to betray this family?" she said. "Then you can live without this family." That was it. By 9 p.m., Ryan was sitting in a jail cell, and I was standing on the porch with everything I owned in garbage bags, no plan, nothing. My parents slammed the door behind me. That was the night I stopped being part of their family. And that night, I sat in my car behind Greenway Grocery, parked under one of those flickering lights. I had 2 garbage bags with my clothes, my backpack, and my phone at 20%. It was late March, still cold at night, and I didn't have a blanket. I tried leaning the seat back to sleep, but every car door shutting in the distance made me jump. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, I answered. Ethan? This is Sophia, Lila's sister. I'd met her once before at a birthday dinner. She was older than Lila, mid-20s maybe, serious looking, works as a paralegal. Yeah? I said. My voice cracked from the cold. Lila told me what happened. Where are you right now? I told her the parking lot. There was a pause. Then she said, Stay there. I'm coming to get you. She showed up 20 minutes later in her car. Get in, she said. It's freezing. Her apartment was small, 2 bedrooms, peeling linoleum floors, but warm. I didn't care about anything except the couch and the blanket she threw at me. She made tea while I told her about my parents kicking me out. That doesn't surprise me, she said flatly. Lila's been too scared to say anything, but your brother, he's been like this for months. Controlling. Abusive. She tried to break up with him once, and he threatened her. I just sat there, staring at the floor. She has screenshots, Sophia added. Text messages. Threats. We're taking them to the police tomorrow. With your video, this isn't going away for him. My phone kept buzzing the whole time. First it was my mom, then my dad, then both. Voicemails stacked up. Delete that video, Ethan. You don't understand what you've done to your brother's future. Not one message asking if I had a place to sleep. I played one voicemail on speaker for Sophia. My mom's voice was sharp, furious. This family has sacrificed everything for you kids. And you humiliate us like this? You call the police on your own brother over some little argument with his girlfriend? Delete the video, Ethan. Come home, and we can put this behind us. Sophia shook her head slowly. They're trying to scare you into protecting him. Classic. The next morning, Lila showed me her phone. There were pages of texts from Ryan. If you ruin my life, I'll make sure everyone sees what kind of person you really are. Drop the charges or you'll regret it. You think the cops can protect you? Watch what happens. Some messages got worse, talking about pictures he had of her, things he'd do if she talked to the police again. Sophia copied every single one onto a flash drive. We'll take this to the prosecutor, she said. Restraining order too. He's not walking away from this. That afternoon, Ryan himself started texting me from some new number. You think you're a hero? You ruined everything. You have no idea what's coming for you. I handed the phone to Sophia. She blocked the number without blinking. Don't read that crap, she said. He wants you scared. Ryan had always been bigger, stronger, the one our parents protected no matter what. If he showed up here, what would I even do? Sophia must have read my face because she said the restraining order would list both Lila and me as protected, so he couldn't come near either of us. We'll talk to the cops about it tomorrow. School was the last thing on my mind. I missed 2 days right away. No clothes except what I'd stuffed in garbage bags. No laptop because my parents kept it. My phone was dying constantly because Sophia's apartment only had one working outlet in the living room. The school counselor emailed me when I didn't show up for classes. I didn't answer. What was I supposed to say? Sorry, can't turn in my history homework. Got kicked out for calling the cops on my brother? I crashed on Sophia's couch at night, listening to the upstairs neighbors stomp around. Lila barely talked. She kept her door closed most of the time, probably scared Ryan would somehow find her. By the end of the week, I hadn't talked to my parents once. Sophia had everything backed up for the prosecutor. She explained the restraining order process, how he couldn't come near me or Lila once it was in place. You did the right thing, she told me. By the next week, everything felt like it was spinning way past my control. I wasn't living at home. Ryan was out on bail, and Mom and Dad were moving fast to protect him. I found out how far they'd go when Sophia came home one evening, tossing an envelope onto the coffee table. Look at this, she said. Inside was a thick envelope, a retainer agreement and first invoice from some expensive defense lawyer in the city. It must have been misdelivered. The label had Lila's apartment number from when she used to get mail at our place. Sophia tapped the payment page. The receipt showed the retainer paid via transfer from the Cole Family College Savings Fund. It was a non-qualified withdrawal. They paid the penalty and taxes, but they didn't care. They drained it, Sophia said quietly. My stomach dropped. That was the account I'd been putting birthday money, summer job money, even a little from my grocery store paychecks into since I was a kid. I'd planned to use it for community college next year. I sat back on the couch, trying to process. Mom and Dad didn't just kick me out. They used my own money to protect the brother who put me here in the first place. The next day, I got a call from my cousin Jason. He's 20 now, lives about an hour away. We don't talk much, so it felt random. I heard about Ryan, he said. Guess it finally caught up to him. What do you mean finally? I asked. Jason hesitated, then said, he went after me once. Years ago. At a barbecue when I was 16. He punched me in the stomach because I beat him at cards. Told me he'd break my nose if I told anyone. I sat there gripping the phone tighter. When I told my parents, they called yours. Your dad said I was making it up because I was jealous of Ryan getting scouted for baseball. I remembered that barbecue. I was 12. Jason left early, looked mad, but no one explained why. They banned me from family stuff after that, Jason said. Said I was stirring up drama. So mom and dad had been covering for Ryan for years. They'd built this whole image of him as the perfect son, and shoved anyone who disagreed out of the way. Meanwhile, mom and dad started spreading their own version of things to anyone who'd listen. They told relatives I was troubled, that I was acting out, and betraying the family. Mom even told Aunt Linda I was mixed up with drugs. Total lie. The same week, Sophia drove me to school so I could talk to the counselor about what happens when you're kicked out at 18 but still trying to finish high school. The counselor, Ms. Perez, said emancipation didn't apply. I was already an adult. But the school could document me under the McKinney-Vento Act as an unaccompanied homeless youth since my parents told me not to come home. I'll need proof they expelled you from the house, she said. I pulled out my phone and played one of Dad's voicemails where he said, "You're not welcome in this house until you fix what you did." She nodded, taking notes. "This helps. I'll start your paperwork you'll need for FAFSA today. It also unlocks transportation help and flexibility with attendance while you stabilize housing." It felt weird, sitting there while someone turned family mess into official forms. 2 weeks ago, my biggest worry was a history test. Now it was housing programs and federal acronyms. Then Ryan blew everything up again. Lila was working her shift at Donnelly's Diner, same place she always worked weekends. Ryan showed up in the parking lot after her shift, yelling at her to get in the car so we can talk. One of her co-workers saw him grab her arm and called the cops. By the time they arrived, Lila was inside the diner crying, and Ryan was pacing in the lot like a maniac. He got arrested again for violating the restraining order. Relatives picked sides. Aunt Linda posted online about kids today destroying families over nothing. Jason commented right under it. Maybe try listening to the victims for once. That shut her up fast. 2 nights later, my sister Maya called me from a friend's phone. She sounded nervous. "Ethan? It's me," she whispered. "Maya? Are you okay?" She hesitated. "I saw what Ryan did to Lila last year at a family dinner. He grabbed her wrist so hard she had bruises the next day. She begged me not to tell anyone." I sat there gripping the phone. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because Mom and Dad would have blamed me," she said. "They always do." And she started crying then. Said things at home were bad, that Mom and Dad were fighting all the time, yelling about lawyers and court dates. She said she felt like she was next if she stepped out of line. "Don't tell them I called," she said quickly, before hanging up. I promised I wouldn't, but I knew it wouldn't stay secret forever. By the time the trial prep started, everything felt like it was moving too fast. Sophia drove me to the prosecutor's office on a rainy Monday so I could hand over the video I took of Ryan choking Lila. They copied it to their system and had me sign a form saying I wouldn't delete the original. "This is strong evidence," the prosecutor said. "The jury will see it." I nodded, not sure what to say. Lila sat across the table, pale but steady. When the prosecutor asked if she was ready to testify, she hesitated for a second, then nodded. "I want this over," she said softly. Court hearings started 2 weeks later. The first day felt unreal. The courthouse smelled like old paper and cleaning supplies. I walked in with Sophia and Lila and saw Mom and Dad sitting on the other side of the hallway, dressed like it was Sunday service. Mom didn't even look at me. Dad gave me this glare like I'd walked into his house with muddy shoes. When Ryan came in wearing an orange jumpsuit, Mom started crying quietly, like he was the victim in all this. Dad put an arm around her shoulders and shook his head at me like I was some criminal. The first hearing was mostly about the restraining order violation. Judge Wallace Grant looked like he'd been doing this job for a long time. Gray hair, glasses, no nonsense. He listened while the prosecutor explained how Ryan had shown up at Lila's job, grabbed her arm, ignored the no-contact order. Then they showed my video from the original assault. Ryan's lawyer tried to argue it was a misunderstanding. The judge cut him off. "She had marks on her neck," he said sharply. "And now your client's out here ignoring court orders? He's staying in custody until trial." Mom gasped like someone had slapped her. Dad muttered something under his breath, shaking his head. I didn't say a word. After the hearing, I noticed a man standing by the exit, leaning against the wall with a notepad. Middle-aged, rough-looking, like someone who spent too much time in the sun. He followed me with his eyes when I walked past. I told Sophia about it. She didn't even look surprised. Frank Delgado, she said. I stared at her. You know him? He came by my office yesterday, she explained. Introduced himself. Said he was looking into family matters for your parents. He wanted to know if you were staying with me full time. Wouldn't say much else, but I've dealt with PIs before. He's fishing for dirt. So now Mom and Dad had a lawyer for Ryan and a PI to spy on me. The second court date was worse. Jason, my cousin, showed up wearing a borrowed dress shirt that didn't quite fit. He looked nervous, bouncing his leg while waiting to be called. Over the defense's objection, Judge Grant allowed limited testimony about prior incidents as a pattern of intimidation, not to prove character. He gave the jury a quick instruction to consider it, only for that purpose. When he took the stand, the courtroom went so quiet you could hear the air conditioner. He told them about the barbecue years ago, about beating Ryan at cards, about the punch to the stomach, about Ryan threatening him. The prosecutor asked, "Did you tell anyone what happened?" "I told my parents," Jason said. "They called my uncle and aunt, but they said I was lying to get Ryan in trouble. After that, I wasn't invited to family things anymore." Mom shook her head angrily, whispering to Dad. He stared straight ahead, jaw tight. Jason finished by saying, "I didn't come forward back then because I figured no one would believe me. Looks like I was right." Hearing him say it out loud made my chest feel tight. They'd been protecting Ryan for years, even when it meant throwing other people under the bus. Between hearings, Maya called me from school whenever she could. She said Mom and Dad were fighting constantly now. Mom blamed Dad for handling things wrong. Dad blamed Mom for raising soft kids who turned on their family. "They barely talk unless it's yelling," Maya said. "It's like the house is splitting in half." Back in court, Judge Grant made it clear he wasn't messing around. "Domestic violence cases," he said during one hearing, "are serious matters. This isn't a family disagreement. It's a criminal case with evidence, witnesses, and victims." Mom muttered something like, "He's not a criminal," loud enough for the people around her to hear. The judge looked right at her. "Ma'am, unless you want to be removed from this courtroom, I suggest you remain quiet." She didn't say another word after that. Ryan sat there through all of it, staring straight ahead like none of this applied to him. No apology, no reaction when Jason testified, nothing when the judge scolded Mom. For the first time, I started wondering if he even cared about getting out. I went to school. I went to work. I stayed at Sophia's apartment. That was my whole life now. And waiting for the next hearing where my own parents would sit across the aisle, glaring at me like I was the one on trial. It was a Wednesday night when I got the text from an unknown number. Maya. "Can we meet? I can't talk here." I texted back. "Where?" She sent the name of a park near our old elementary school. I got there first and waited under the busted streetlight near the swings. 10 minutes later, Maya showed up with her hood pulled tight, glancing over her shoulder. "They check my phone now," she said quietly. "Read my texts. Took it away for 2 days because I asked about you." "Are you serious?" "They said if I talk to you again, they'll send me to live with Aunt Linda in Texas." I felt my hands tighten around the swing chain. "They can't do that," I said. "They can if I'm still under 18, she muttered. "They said you've been brainwashing me, that I'm turning against the family." I shook my head. "Maya, they kicked me out. They're the ones doing this, not me." She hesitated, then said something that made my stomach twist. "Ryan hurt me too," she whispered. "Not like Lila, but he shoved me once last year when Mom and Dad weren't home. I fell, hit my arm on the table. He told me if I told anyone, no one would believe me." I stared at her, trying to find words. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "Because you saw what happened when you told the truth," she said. "They picked him. They always pick him." 2 days later, I heard from Sophia that Maya's school counselor called CPS. Maya must have said something during one of their meetings, because a caseworker showed up at the house that same week. According to Maya, the worker interviewed her privately at school first, then came by the house to talk to Mom and Dad. "They were furious," Maya told me later over the phone. "Said I was lying. Said you put me up to it." That night, Mom screamed so loud the neighbors heard. She told Maya she was destroying the family, that she was selfish, ungrateful, a traitor. "They said if CPS comes back, I'm out," Maya said. "Not to Aunt Linda, to some boarding school." Meanwhile, the trial kept moving forward. When Lila took the stand, she looked terrified. Hands shaking, voice quiet. The defense lawyer tried to make it sound like she misunderstood what happened. Like Ryan was just angry, not violent. At one point, the lawyer asked why she didn't break up with Ryan sooner if he scared her so much. Lila's voice cracked when she answered. "Because every time I tried, he threatened me." The courtroom went silent. She started crying halfway through describing the night I recorded the video. The judge let her take a break. I watched the jury. Some were taking notes, but a few just stared at her with this look like they already hated Ryan. The final hearing came 2 weeks later. Ryan sat at the defense table looking bored, like none of this mattered. Mom clutched Dad's arm the whole time, whispering whenever the prosecutor spoke. The judge read the verdict, guilty on all charges. Mom gasped like someone had punched her. Dad swore under his breath. 2 weeks later, at sentencing, Ryan sat at the defense table looking bored, like none of this applied to him. The prosecutor argued for jail time. The defense asked for leniency. Judge Grant didn't hesitate. You ignored restraining orders, intimidated witnesses, and showed no remorse. He sentenced Ryan to 18 months in county and 3 years probation after that. Outside the courthouse, Mom cornered me before I could get to Sophia's car. You happy now? She snapped. You ruined your brother's life. I didn't answer. Dad stepped closer, face red. Family handles things privately. But you wanted a show. You wanted him in jail. I finally looked at them. He put himself there. Not me. Not Lila. Him. Mom shook her head like I was speaking another language. You think strangers care about us? About family? They just wanted to tear us apart, and you helped them. I turned and walked away before she could say anything else. Maya called that night from the neighbor's phone because Mom had taken hers again. They're losing it, she whispered. Mom's crying all the time. Dad keeps yelling about bills and lawyers. They don't talk to each other unless it's to fight. Are you okay? I asked. For now, she said. But they keep saying when I turn 18, I'm out too. They can't just throw you out, I said. They threw you out, she reminded me. I didn't have an answer for that. Back at Sophia's apartment, Lila finally ate dinner with us instead of staying in her room. She looked exhausted, but lighter somehow. He's actually in jail, she said quietly, like she couldn't believe it. Yeah, I said. He is. She pushed her food around with her fork. I thought nobody would believe me. Your parents made me feel like I was the problem. They always do that, I said. Even to Maya. Even to me. Lila nodded slowly but didn't say anything else. That weekend, Sophia got an email from the prosecutor thanking us for cooperating. They said the video, the texts, Lila's testimony, and Ryan violating the restraining order made the case unusually strong. I read the email twice, then shut the laptop. Ryan was in jail. But somehow it didn't feel like things were over. Not with Mom and Dad acting like the wrong son was behind bars. On 2 weeks after sentencing, CPS came back to check on Maya. Her counselor had filed another report about yelling at home. A caseworker met her at school, then went to the house that afternoon. Later, Maya called me from a friend's phone. They asked about the bruise again, she said. Mom kept saying it was discipline. Dad said outsiders are trying to tear us apart. You safe tonight? I asked. For now, she said. But they're watching everything. I want out before they ship me to Aunt Linda. Where would you go? Grandma Eleanor. She already offered. She bought a plane ticket for Friday. She left while Mom and Dad were at work. A neighbor drove her to the airport with one backpack and a tote full of school stuff. That night, Mom spammed my phone. You did this. You told her to run. I didn't respond. I had moved into transitional housing by then. Sophia helped with the application. It used to be a motel. Thin walls, old carpet, shared laundry. But my room had a lock, a desk, and no one yelling on the other side of the door. I got a warehouse job through the program's contact list. Unload pallets, stack boxes, learn the forklift once I passed the test. The pay beat the grocery store, and the supervisor only cared if you showed up and worked. I officially withdrew from school the next week and signed up for the housing center's GED classes. Most nights, I used the computer lab for prep. The program director said my unaccompanied homeless youth letter from school meant I could do FAFSA without my parents' info. So once I passed the GED, I could start classes with financial aid. Lila started therapy with a victim services group. Sophia drove her twice a week. At dinner one night, Lila said, I'm applying to transfer. Somewhere nobody knows me. That's smart, Sophia said. Lila nodded. I just want normal. Classes, work, quiet, no one whispering. Word about the trial traveled fast. A woman at the housing center told me her cousin goes to church with my parents. People are talking, she said. They heard the judge played the video. Folks keep asking why your parents defended him after that. I pictured Mom with that stiff smile she uses when she feels judged. Dad staring at the floor, jaw tight. For once, I didn't feel guilty about any of it. I didn't have time to anyway. I was up at 5, clocked in by 6, off by 2:30 if the trucks were light. The warehouse had a tiny weight room behind the break area. Rusted plates, a bench that squeaked. One of the older guys showed me the basics and said lifting helps clear your head. It did. I slept better and stopped twitching every time my phone buzzed. Ryan had been in county for 4 months when I heard he got approved for work release. Mom told relatives it proved he was turning his life around. Like a part-time jail sentence erased everything he'd done. Work release meant he could leave during the day for a construction job, then report back to jail at night. The judge gave him strict conditions. No alcohol, no fights, no contact with me or Lila. He violated any of that, and he was done. Straight back inside to finish the full 18 months. 2 weeks into his new schedule, he showed up at my warehouse. It was a Tuesday, sky white and hot. Trucks lined at the dock. I was unloading boxes when I saw him leaning against the chain link fence like he owned the place. He was wearing a neon work vest from his construction job, boots still muddy. He wasn't supposed to be anywhere near me. Not with the restraining order. Not with probation terms that spelled it out in black and white. When he saw I'd noticed, he pushed off the fence and walked toward the loading dock. "You proud of yourself?" he said, voice low but sharp. "Family's in pieces." Maya ran off. "Mom cries every night." "You did that." I kept working. "You're not supposed to be here," I said. "Leave before you make it worse." "Look at me when I'm talking to you," he snapped, climbing onto the dock. His boots hit the concrete hard. He stepped right up in front of me, fists tight. "You think you won? You think hiding behind cops makes you tough?" "Back off," I said. That's when he swung. The punch didn't land. "Hey, knock it off." My supervisor, Mr. Harlan, a big guy in his 40s with forearms like steel pipes, stepped between us fast. He shoved Ryan back so hard he almost tripped over a pallet. "You don't touch my crew," Mr. Harlan barked. "You got business here. You go through me. Otherwise, get the hell off my dock." Ryan tried to push past him, eyes locked on me. "He's gonna regret this," he growled. "All of it." Mr. Harlan planted himself like a wall. "You lay a hand on him, you're done. Cops are already coming." I hadn't even seen him grab his phone, but he must have called the second things got loud. 2 patrol cars rolled in within minutes. "Right here," Mr. Harlan told the officers, pointing at Ryan. "Restraining order violation." Threw a punch. Ryan argued the whole time, saying it was just a conversation, but they cuffed him on the spot. One officer checked his work release conditions and the restraining order on file and shook his head. "Work release is over," the cop told Ryan flatly. "You're finishing your sentence inside." They shoved him into the back of the cruiser, while Mr. Harlan stood there with his arms crossed, glaring. Maya called me from Florida the next day. I could hear gulls through the phone and something that sounded like a lawn sprinkler. "Grandma's place is small and yellow and has this dumb wind chime, but I love it," she said. "No one's watching my texts. No one's calling me a liar." "How's school?" "Starting Monday. The guidance counselor already helped me pick classes. Feels normal." I told her about Ryan at the warehouse. She made a face I could hear. "Of course he did. Mom and Dad probably told him where you work." "Doesn't matter," I said. "He's back inside." She laughed, quick and real. "Good. By the end of the month, I passed 2 GED tests and scheduled the rest." The housing director helped and submitted my FAFSA using the unaccompanied homeless youth determination. Sophia said when the approval comes through, we'll meet with an advisor at the community college to set up fall classes. Lila brought over a folder from her transfer application and asked me to proofread her essay. It was about starting over. After she left, I sat on my bed with my forklift course certificate. The safety trainer signed it, and HR put it in my file and the testing schedule for the GED. It looked like a small stack of papers, but it was the first time my future fit on anything I actually owned. People sometimes say things go back to normal after the court stuff is done. That wasn't true for us. Nothing went back. It just went forward. 6 weeks after Ryan went back to jail, I moved into my first apartment. It was a 1-bedroom above a laundromat with beige walls and secondhand furniture, but it was mine. No yelling, no slammed doors, no one calling me a traitor. Maya called from Florida soon after. She said school was going well, she was getting all A's, and Grandma had shut down Mom's attempts to drag her home. "Feels weird not walking on eggshells," she said. But good weird. Lila got her transfer letter around the same time. She came by with the envelope, told me classes in another state started in August, and said she was ready for a place where nobody knew her story. By July, I'd passed all my GED tests, and the community college confirmed my financial aid. I signed up for fall classes, 2 nights a week after warehouse shifts, told the advisor I wanted social work. "People need someone in their corner," I said when he asked why. He nodded like he understood. Ryan stayed in county after the warehouse incident. Work release was gone for good. Mom and Dad didn't call me. The neighbor from church said they keep to themselves now. No family gatherings, No bragging about anything. Maya visited before college started. We sat at my kitchen table looking through old photos Grandma gave her. Birthdays, Christmas mornings, Ryan smiling like a normal brother. You miss them? She asked. I shook my head. I miss what we were supposed to have, not what we got. When August came, Lila left for school, Maya stayed in Florida, and I started classes. Warehouse mornings, college nights, homework on the thrift store table in my apartment. For the first time, life was just quiet. No threats, no drama, no pretending. Mom and Dad told people they had one child now, Ryan, but the family they wanted was gone. The one they threw out was doing fine. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.